What's your
Listen
Dominican
to
men
this.
pet peeve?
They just be lying. They're full of shit. They're players though. Like they be on some cheating shit. Fuck Dominican men. That's fucking toxic. They can't communicate. They toxic when they cheat. Not all of them is toxic. They're all fucking liars. You know it. I know it. We all know it. You probably that liar too. Dominican men gotta go. Lying, cheating, stupid, insecure, toxic.
Too sassy for me, and y'all be lying for like what? Like what we lying
y'all
for?
sassy.
Yeah, everything.
Y'all are liars. They all cheaters and liars. That shit pisses me off. They liars and they cheaters.
They cheaters. They cheaters.
They're all unloyal.
Their egos are so high.
They think they him and they just not friendly, bro. Can't trust a Dominican man ever.
All they do is cheat, bro. You can't trust niggas, especially Dominican niggas. Hello?
They're cheaters.
They be lying, bro.
Ellos hablan con todo el mundo.
Don't ever fuck with a Dominican man. Pa' que tú lo sepa.
Nah.
We got a whole other family in the Dominican Republic.
What do you think? Is it just Dominican men? I wanted to make a video about this because I find it too coincidental that when I speak with women and, we have conversations and, I tell them I'm Dominican and the first thing they say is, your men are something different. Like, what is that supposed to mean? But I kind of understand where they're coming from. So I'm speaking from experience from my culture since I'm Dominican. And growing up, I would see that a lot of moms would cater to their sons in a way that they didn't have to cook for themselves. They didn't have to clean for themselves. Like, they were already training them and molding them for them to be catered in a certain way that doesn't necessarily translate into today's time. So because they have their mom doing all this for them, they also expect for their wives or their girlfriends to continue on with that tradition of maintaining the home, doing the laundry, cooking, cleaning, and because if their mom did it, that's what they're going to expect in their wives as well. And I feel like that also develops, if it gets too out of hand, like a Trump mentality or complex, or like a Don Quijote mentality. Having that kind of upbringing, it changes your perspective and your mentality when you look at women, because at the end of the day, you're looking at them as second-class citizens, that they're the ones that cater to you. And if there's women in their lives that aren't speaking up and aren't correcting that behavior, that essentially is going to trickle down into their relationships when it comes to women overall. And you have those women that will tolerate it at the end of the day. They will, because they're a provider, because they're doing essentially what they have to do in the house, they will be willing to sacrifice themselves for their comfortability. If you grew up in the church, you will see and you will notice that you have to be a family, and sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and that sometimes get translated over to women, that you have to sit down and dribble, essentially. I think it's time for us as women to start having conversations with the men in our family and let them know that these things aren't okay. You shouldn't tolerate them just because, they're still young, they're learning, or they're doing this or they're doing that. It's important for us to start having conversations with people when they're doing wrong. I think as women, it's important for us to start changing this narrative and standing up and speaking when they're doing things that are wrong, especially if they're family members of ours and you know that they're not being the character that they need to be to maintain a family. You have to be the one to speak up for them and let them know. I understand that at the end of the day that we're family through thick and thin. You got to ride it out for them. But at the same time, it is also your responsibility as a family member to have those conversations, so then that way we're not dealing with this and we're not passing it down to other women. So that's why we lack and say there's no good men out here, because a lot of the times is that there's no one in the family directing them and telling them that these things are wrong. I appreciate and I admire those organizations that are actually acknowledging this type of behavior and this type of pattern and giving safe spaces for men to want to come and talk about the difficulties that they may be experiencing within their own lives, for them to react the way that they're reacting. But the first part is to be able to hold yourself accountable and say you're wrong and get the help that you need, instead of saying, I'm a man, I could do what I could do what I want, I work hard, I pay the bills, I do this, I'm able to, sleep around, I'm a man, I can't help myself. Those types of conversations need to stop in order for us to grow. And in order for us to be able to stop it, we have to make sure that we are talking to our loved ones and having those difficult conversations, so they could see that their ways aren't necessarily the right way. Tell me what you think. Is this just a Dominican thing, or is this just a man thing? Let me know your thoughts.